Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day, and we're going back into r/Tales of Neckbeard. And if you would like to show your support for all the stuff that's been going on through the month of August, be sure to hit the like button, and if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. Let's go. Our first story comes to us from username Gifted Child Syndrome. No isn't an option. Hello, this is my first ever post on Reddit, mainly because Reddit is blocked in my country and I'm often too lazy to use a VPN. But I watch a lot of Reddit videos on YouTube about neckbeards to know what they are. Also, English is not my first language, so I'm sorry if I make mistakes. This happened about 2 years ago at an anime convention in my city. You see, my friend told me that I'm something you can call a neckbeard bait, so I often got dragged into these kinds of interactions. The neckbeard this time, let's call him Henry. So I knew Henry from first grade to high school because we're part of the school health committee, Youth Red Cross. But even though he's in the Red Cross, he's still your average neckbeard. He's kind of overweight, smells like he doesn't shower, always wears some anime merch, whether it's his shirt, jacket, and shoes, and he wears a fedora, although he doesn't really use words like milady and sort. At the time, I've heard rumors about him molesting girls in the health committee, like looking up their skirts, touching their body, and making remarks against the girls, but because they don't have proof of his behavior and because we didn't have many male members at the time, he never got kicked out. I never got harassed by him until the AnimeCon, where I was cosplaying as a character from a game that was popular at the time. Because of our similar interests in anime and games, me, Henry, and some other people agreed to make and take pictures together at the back of the building. Me and Henry got there first and waited for a couple of minutes before he suddenly approached and putting his hand on the wall beside me. I think he was trying to kabedon me. I was severely uncomfortable and scared, but I don't want to be rude, so I asked him nicely to let me go. He suddenly asked me to be his girlfriend, saying my now ex-boyfriend isn't as good as him, while slowly moving his face forward as if he was going to kiss me, while also saying some stuff about how my skirt looks nice and how it accentuated my thighs. I was so scared, I yelled no and tried to call for help, but what he said still gives me chills. No isn't an answer. I'm forever grateful to the guy cosplaying as Kaito for coming at me and yelling at him to get away. He also tried to comfort me, while I cried until my friend showed up. We told the security guard and he was kicked out and blacklisted from the AnimeCon. After that, he seemed to avoid me till the end of second grade, where he moved to another school. The school tried to hide it, but I heard it's because he was caught molesting another person. I've never told anyone about my encounter, but the anonymity of Reddit gives me the chances to get rid of it off my chest. And I'm really scared to even tell my parents, the school, or the police. I'm still traumatized, but I try to fight it instead of running away from it. To be honest, this isn't my first close encounter like this, but that's a story for another time. See, it really does suck that this needs to constantly be said, that cosplay does not equal consent, no means no, and why is it so hard for people to understand that? Honestly, I hope things get better, and I really hated the fact that the school was trying to protect him. Also, I am fairly certain that when the whole first grade thing kind of was coming up, I am pretty certain it meant sophomore, freshman, and not like literally second grade. Our next story comes to us from username Sophie Oz. Bob the Neckbeard follows me for a few weeks and, well, exhibits other weird behaviors. TLDR, I tried to be nice to this neckbeard at my school, but he started following me everywhere. For context, last year I went to Folk High School. The Folk High School is in Scandinavian, and correct me if other countries have them, form of school you can take after high school. You usually don't get any qualifications, but usually people go to figure themselves out, and students are of different ages. At my school, between 18 and 40. People can learn a skill like playing an instrument, learning a language, cooking, etc., and build up their social skills. I attended a folk high school in Denmark where you could learn about martial arts and Japanese culture, so primo breeding grounds for weebs and neckbeards. Today I'll be telling you about one of the neckbeardy students. Names are changed for obvious reasons, also if this doesn't belong here, let me know. Please note, he did have a lot of mental disorders to the extent that the school didn't have capacity to have him back for a second semester. This is also super long. So we were only about 50-ish students this semester, so everyone got to know each other quickly. I've never been a popular person by any means, but here I near struggled to sit with people or find someone to hang out with. A few days in, I noticed this guy who we'll call Bob. Bob always sat alone, about 3 empty tables behind everyone else. He had a very badly cut shoulder-length hair, weird stubble, and wore his glasses at the edge of his nose, which looked comical as he would purse his lips most of the time. I've been bullied and alone a lot, so I get that it sucks, so I thought I'd try to include this guy. At a meal, I walk over to him and ask to sit down. One of the staff members looks over to me and nods approvingly. He nods and moves his headset so it's only covering one ear, while his other, he always wore two, headset was around his neck. Once we talked a bit, I noticed his hands were really red up till his wrist, which I assumed meant he washes his hands too much, and that he smelled. He also never touched his food, but would use napkins to wrap his food and then hold the napkin to eat it. I assumed he had OCD or was a germaphobe. When I asked about the redness, he didn't reply. Anyway, we talked a bit. I got to know his name, that he liked Japanese, and that he was a fellow autist. Once I mentioned I was also autistic, he seemed skeptical and said, "You don't look autistic, and what kind of autistic are you?" Kinda ignoring it and not knowing what to reply, I tried to change the subject, but I was cut off by a million compliments and questions about my hair. Around this time, I was done eating and told him I had other things to do. I continued being pleasant with him, saying hi, and inviting him to group activities I was going to. This led to him being extremely clingy. When I pass by people I know, I usually say hi. When I did the same to him, he took this as an invitation to follow me around. Once I was going to the lockers to change to go swimming, I passed by him and said hi. He immediately followed me and bombarded me with questions, and I politely answered. He followed me all the way to the girls' locker room, where I had to stop and tell him, "This is the girls' locker room, you can't go in here." He gives me a blank look before disappearing. As we were still in the first week, we had a bunch of group activities to do to learn about the different subjects. Bob, whenever he was in the same group as me, he would often try to pick me as his partner all the time. In the health and fitness intro class, I was late and so was Bob, so yay, lucky me. The intro class included a lot of bodyweight partner exercises. This meant I had to touch Bob, who smelled. Oh well, I ignored it and did the exercises to the best of my abilities. At some point during a mobility exercise, we had to hold hands. His hands were extremely sweaty and he apologized for this. I acknowledged that people can't help being sweaty or having sweaty hands, so I told him, "Don't worry, you can't help it." This led to him to follow me around more. At this school, we were divided up into 6 groups. Each group had a morning meeting once per week, did a few activities together, and had chores together. Each month, the chores would rotate, with the exception of dishes, which changed every 2 days. He was not in my group. My group had kitchen duty, dishes, and cleaning of the dining hall. His group was cleaning one of the bathrooms. I was cleaning, and he walks over and asks if I need help. I told him that was kind, but he should go find his group and ask to help them. He tells me he doesn't like his group and he doesn't want to do chores. Me wanting to be alone and just listen to my music while I clean told him I was fine, but that he should talk to his group teacher if he had a problem with his group. He kept showing up for my chores and always asked to help. He kept being really awkward and like a leech. Examples being, he continued to follow me around when he saw me. He would always mention my hair, compliment my hair, ask about my hair, but to a weird extent. Whenever he joined Werewolf, a game my friends and I played a lot, he would always sit next to me and always use his ability on me. He rarely joined group activities, but when he did, I was there and he would try to talk to me instead of joining. This was only for a week or two. I sat with him once a meal every 2 or 3 days as I felt bad that he was alone all the time, but at the same time, I wasn't a huge fan. He would always speak of himself as superior and smarter. He tried multiple times correcting the Japanese teacher in Japanese class, although he had no clue what he was on about. This would result in him sitting in a corner muttering to himself. The next week, his group had kitchen duty, but he never showed, so his group teacher asked anyone to fill in. No one volunteered, so I did, as I knew he hated loud noises like the dishwasher, hence the 2 sets of headphones. He continued to follow me after this, even when I told him to stop, so I ended up cutting all interaction with him. He still followed me around for a bit. A few weeks go by, and all I saw of Bob was him walking around with his iPad and muttering to himself. One evening, I was hanging out with a few people when one of my friends, Melissa, walks down the stairs and informs us that she thinks someone is messing around in the bedroom. The next day, a few more people walked downstairs and confirmed they heard moaning. This poor guy had to go all the way downstairs to use the bathroom. days go by without anyone knowing who was involved with the bathroom incident. This was until one faithful Japanese class. A classmate of mine, Fred, had to go pee. He left the class and came back 2 minutes later looking a shade paler and mentioned something about he's doing it again to the teacher. My curiosity was more than piqued. I didn't get the chance to know about what happened until we were hanging out as a group. Fred and I weren't close, so luckily someone else asked. Apparently, Bob was found whacking it naked on the bathroom floor in a toilet stall, and this wasn't the first time. What made the situation weirder was that while most people had roommates, Bob did not, meaning he could do whatever he wanted there. But no, he chose to whack it naked in a toilet stall the whole semester. I kinda upped my avoiding of him more after finding out and never asked him about it. He didn't really get along with most people and was mostly alone. This was until the school went on a Japan trip. Bob in Japan is a whole different and weird thing in itself. And that's gonna have to be it with the video. I know this is a little bit shorter than your typical storytime format videos, but I hope you guys enjoyed it all the same. If you would like to show your support, be sure to hit the like button and leave a comment down below if you would like to start up a discussion with other people watching, and if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and turn on those bell notifications for future uploads. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.